So from Benny Johnson, there's a CIA officer and former FBI official who's bragging on camera about being able to put problematic right-wing journalists like Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones in jail. Confirms using embellished corporate media stories for wrap-up smear and places 20 undercover FBI agents at the Capitol on January 6th. Now, if you recall, we covered portions of January 6th where we know that there was supposedly, allegedly, hundreds of FBI agents and people that were undercover at the January 6th riots, but nobody wants to look under the hood on this bad boy, which is why I go back to why are Republicans not doing our bidding? Why are they not looking further into this January 6th? Because clearly there's a massive agenda on the Democrat side of the aisle, from the January 6th pipe bomb that was found at the DNC to another January 6th pipe bomb that was found at the RNC, all within 12 minutes of one another, of which the Secret Service, the Metro Police all knew about, where they had pedestrians walking by it of a pipe bomb, where the vice president that was about to be basically in place as, or I should say the incoming vice president was about to be put forth as the vice president was in the building with a pipe bomb right next to it. You're telling me that maybe they didn't know anything about it? And it was just all a coincidence that both pipe bombs in two separate areas of DC were just all of a sudden found within 12 minutes of one another. And by the way, within the time frame of the Capitol actually having people going inside it. Really? Just it's all worked out that way. There's also video of people inciting certain rhetoric at the Capitol of basically trying to build up pent-up emotion for people to storm into it. Like, none of this wants to be looked under the hood. Find it fascinating. A lot of things don't want to be looked under the hood, like our election integrity. Why are we not looking under the hood? If both sides clearly want it, why aren't they looking under the hood on it? That's my question, because Democrats are going to cheat again. You know they are. They did it before. Because nothing happened, they're going to do it again. Well, here's the intelligence. I guess here's the journalism, real journalism, investigative journalism that you're not going to see from MSNBC, that you don't see anymore nowadays. Right here. Let's go ahead and roll it.
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
You set them up.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
And we get really close. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just got to give them a quick little, just to see what happens. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow. Nothing like putting out a fake social media thing to like really get people mad.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are?
We did what we wanted.
Which was what?
Took his money away, chopped his legs off.
Gavin O'Blennis is a contracting officer at the CIA. O'Blennis worked for the FBI in 2021 and 2022 in the San Diego office, moved on to Homeland Security where he conducted asylum interviews at the southern border, and now works for the CIA managing multi-million-dollar contracts across government agencies and private sector vendors.
I work for, how do I put this without, I'm not supposed to tell people kind of job. If I say intelligence, what do you think?
CIA?
Yep.
Oh, you work for the CIA?
I do.
That's incredible.
I'm a contracting officer.
That's amazing.
So I deal a lot with like different agencies. We're contracting with like Director of National Intelligence to do stuff. We do Navy, Army, any of them really. I just FBI. I used to work for the FBI, so
Really?
they threw the FBI at me. They're like, here, you used to work there. Oh, I'm permanent. I'm staff. Yeah.
Good. Well, why do they call it contracting?
Because I do the contracting for them. I do all the legal contracts. I fly out to vendors and evaluate them. I love the agency.
Good for you.
I like the Bureau, too. The Bureau was a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of cool stuff with the Bureau. I was the guy in the back of the truck in the van.
O'Blennis spoke to an undercover Sound Investigations reporter about his work experience involving near entrapment and his employer's involvement with political commentator Alex Jones's legal battles.
As long as the Bureau is able to progress far enough to be able to put pro-lifers in jail whenever they want.
Yeah.
You think that's on the agenda?
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
You set them up. You create the situation to where they have no choice but to act on their impulse. And once they act on that impulse, then we call that entrapment. It's a fine line.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
And we get really close.
Not officially.
No. We get as close as we can. We get as close as we can to it without doing it.
So they can entrap some of these pro-lifers into doing things that they don't...
Depending, yeah. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta give them a quick little, just to see what happens, right?
And how does that happen?
You put a post out there, or you have someone fake profile say something that triggers, that we know is going to trigger them, right? Like we already know your history. If we're to that point, we already know everything about it. you're like, oh, this will piss them off.
Oh.
Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow, right?
Like a railing. Like a, oh. So when a rally happens, that's sometimes the bureau behind it?
Yeah, sometimes. Nothing like putting out a fake social media thing to like really get people mad. Oh, it's fake news. Yeah, sometimes it's it's not fake. It's embellished a little bit.
Who would be like a big influencer that you're after? You're like a, I don't know, like I don't even know these names. Like a Fox News person or like a Tucker Carlson or like.
Oh, I'm sure he's on the radar, right? You always want the biggest and loudest. Like that, what was his name? The one that said Sandy Hook didn't happen. It was
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are? Are you still after him? Why?
Because he's broke. He got found guilty and had to pay like $100 million.
So why were you after him?
We're not anymore.
Just to get the money from him?
Yeah.
Was that court case used? Was that a CIA
Sure
thing?
was.
That was the agency thing?
Well, actually, it was a defamation case, so it's a civil, not government. But we were looking at all of his followers, commenting, following, like, who's that going to lead us to, right? So even though it's technically not our, well, not the agency, definitely, but the bureau, for instance, yeah, that's not our purview. It's a civil matter. But since they got all this access to his stuff and it's there, what can we go find?
And did you find anything?
I can't tell you if we did. But, so, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, realize the opportunity that you have.
So with Alex Jones, you were watching him long before anything ended up happening.
Probably. It wasn't my office, but, I mean, we would have been well aware of what he was doing.
And the goal with him was what, just to bankrupt him?
Oh, pretty much. And we let the families do it.
And what?
We let the families do it.
Were they encouraged to do that by the Bureau? Like nudged?
We don't encourage people.
But like...
We just say there's no federal statute being broken. But you do have the option for a civil case. And it's a pretty good case.
Nice.
In our opinion.
So, oh, that makes so much sense. I have a cousin who's a lawyer. So that's a lot of these cases. They're kind of encouraged by the FBI.
Yeah, like there's nothing federal law we can do, but civilly, we can go at him that way and chop his legs off.
And they did.
Yeah.
So the FBI was happy.
We didn't care. We were like, oh.
Basically, the citizens did your job.
Yeah.
Wow, so you can encourage a civil lawsuit.
Not encourage. Educate.
What can you do with people like Alex Jones now? Because he's still out there.
Yeah.
He's still chirping.
He can chirp.
Are you still watching him?
Yeah.
Why?
He did what we wanted.
Which was what?
Took his money away. We shut him up for a while. You're never going to shut him up permanently.
How, well, unless you put him in prison.
But again, he didn't do anything to go to prison. Being ignorant is not a crime, though it should.
It is. I mean, what? You could bring a nudge.
He did incite a riot, like Cheeto. He didn't encourage people to go shoot people. He didn't do anything.
Additionally, O'Bleness states that he knows and works with FBI agents who were undercover in the January 6th Capitol riot, estimating about 20 field agents were there undercover. While O'Bleness notes that they were not involved in violence, this appears to be the first admission of undercover FBI agents in attendance.
I thought you said that there were FBI agents in the crowd at J6.
There always are when there's a big protest in D.C. Just in case it gets out of hand like that. But there wasn't enough to turn that tide. I mean, I'm talking they maybe have 20. You needed 1,000 to get rid of that crowd.
So they had like, that was just 20?
Yeah, just to go through there and see what I can hear, you know, that kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. They needed 1,000 at least.
Well,
Wow.
see, that's also Capitol Police jurisdiction. They're in charge.
So
Why they didn't have more on hand, I don't know.
The Bureau didn't really want people knowing that they were in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be overstepping their bounds.
A little bit.
Do people know that?
Why?
Did people know that the Bureau was in the crowd?
Nope, and probably never will.
Do you know agents that were there?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, they work for the agency now.
I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.